good evening, guys. We are here. Welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. I am Samantha and my beautiful co host.
I'm Shanetta.
Katrina.
Oh, listen, we starting off with a bang tonight. We're going to go ahead and run our intro, and we will be right back. All right, we are back. I cut that short. It just seemed like it was going and going and going. So again, I am Samantha, and I have my wonderful co-hosts Katrina and Shanetta, and we are on every Thursday at 8 p.m. We have been MIA a little bit. Um, Life has kind of got away from us, but we are working things out. So we are back tonight. So as you can see, our topic is, does lack of connection breed lack of respect? Somewhere around there is kind of my train of thought. It's more, yeah, does lack of connection breed disrespect? Um, so I saw a TikTok, and in the TikTok, the lady was talking about, think the Gen Z generation. Now, I'm slow. I don't really know what age group that is, but I'm sure it's younger than me. So she was saying how because of the Gen Z generation that she don't believe um, family reunions will continue. That particular generation, is not going to put up with the family members that say things you don't want to hear or get on your nerves or you just don't like them. That generation is not interested in being bothered with those types of things. So basically, they'll stay away. I mean, the TikTok was a little longer. She said a lot. I'm just summing up the gist of it. I'm sure my ladies will have a lot to say. When I was watching the TikTok, it just kind of made me think of the generations, that are behind us or coming up under us, however you want to say it, and how different I feel their outlook is on not so much family, but family to just elders in general. When I was a teenager, even if I was doing stuff I didn't have no business or saying stuff I didn't have any business, if an adult walked in the store or something, you stopped. You would try not to, curse in front of people, parents. You definitely didn't curse out your relatives. Um, you know, it was just a level of respect. If you saw an adult, you're like, okay. And as soon as they walk off, you'd be laughing because you right back into whatever you were into. Now, when I walk in the store, it doesn't matter what people are doing, they keep doing it. They don't, their mouths, their actions, I feel like it's a definite lack of respect. And so when I saw the TikTok, it made me think, is that because, we're no longer connected to our elders? I mean, yeah, you have the relatives that can be extra, but like we've disconnected ourselves from them. We don't like what they say, we don't like what they do, we don't like who they are. So I feel like it kind of generates an air of disrespect in a sense because you don't spend enough time around the elders or around adults, or you've never been taught that, you know, there should be some sort of level of respect. That's kind of the gist of it. So Shanetta, you started TikTok.
So first of all, this Gen Z, they're teeny boppers. They're between 10 and 25. So that being
Okay.
said, most of them are kids right now. Uh, so there's still, I think, even the older side of them, the ones that are in their early to mid 20s, are still developing and still growing and still hopefully maturing with the right guidance. So when I think about some of the things that she was talking about, like just tolerating and putting up with, um, I think that some of the things that she had to say in that particular video had a lot to do with just the lack of maturity and the lack of knowing how to effectively communicate with those around you. Um, I guess for me, like I could hear what she's saying and I understand her points of like, we're not gonna tolerate, just being disrespected or being mistreated and, all this, that, and the other. But I think that as you mature, there are lots of things that you learn. You learn how to respond to those type of things in a non-confrontational way and in a way where everything doesn't have to be I'm on and we popping off and ready to fight. You learn as you grow and mature how to respond appropriately to these types of things in a way that can still communicate, hey, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. Please don't do this, or let's not do this. Let's not go in this direction. But that comes with maturity and guidance from someone who really cares about you. And I think that even when I think back of how I behave versus how kids behave now, for me, because I work with kids every day, it's like a demand of respect. I don't tolerate certain things. And I could literally be in the middle of Kroger, and sometimes I do have to tell myself to turn it off because I'm not, in school with kids that have to respect me because I'm a teacher in the school. I'm not at church with kids that know that, hey, I'm walking by. So, but there are times where I'm in Kroger and I'll see somebody cutting up, or I'll see a kid cutting up, and I'll just get them to look like, you better get it together because what you're not going to do is sit here and be disrespectful. I've done it at sporting events where, kids are running around doing and saying all kinds of things. And I'm like, hey, it's adults sitting right here. This is not how you behave. But I think that that comes with, children learning in their homes how to be more respectful. And that generation will then learn to appreciate older generations when it's taught at home. But if it's not being taught in the home that they're being raised in, and the people that are raising them are just disrespectful and disconnected from elders, from community, have a lack of respect for the older generations,
Mhm.
um, it does kind of trickle off with some. But I think that as community members that are getting older, it is our responsibility to still kind of like hold them accountable, and not so much so in a dangerous way, because I know that things can pop off real fast, with people who don't know how to act and whatnot.
Right.
But I think that if there's an open opportunity for you to plant a seed, that you need to be more respectful when you're around adults,
Mhm.
when you're around the elders, that we should plant those seeds. I definitely strongly believe in that. Like, and it doesn't have to be in I'm about to whoop you because somebody needed to
Right.
whoop you all these years ago. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, but it needs to be like, hey, like, what you're doing doesn't have to be done this way. Let me show you another way. Can I show you something? Can I talk to you about something really quick? Come here, let me, let's have a quick talk. Um, I can talk about that all the time. Like, I have a little girl that I teach, and she came in hot on day one. I don't know why. Baby, you've not even 13. Like, you've been on this earth for all of 13 years, and 5 of those you probably don't even remember. So your memory consists of about 8 years. Why are you so angry? But she came in hot, but she does not act like that with me. I took her one particular morning. We walked the halls. We literally, like, I left my room. Another teacher was watching my room, and I just walked. Our halls are in a circle, and we walked the halls and we talked. And as we talked, she learned something about me, and I learned something about her. Then I went and researched, because I can do that. But what she learned about me is that I will take time to show you how to do things the right way as far
Right.
as socializing. And what I learned about her is that all she wants is somebody to talk to her kindly.
Okay.
So in that, I use that moment to kind of teach her something, and and so every since then, every single morning, I'm her first stop. She comes straight, and I'm not even her first teacher of the day, but she comes straight to my door. She hugs me. She asks me how my morning is going. I check on her, how her morning is going. I tell her to have a great day. She goes off to her class. Um, but that's in building relationships, because I took that moment to talk to her. If
Right.
any teacher's having trouble out of her, they find me. They send her to me. If she's having a bad moment, or if she's having a rough morning, she comes, she asks, "Can I go to Miss McNair's room really quick? I need to talk to her." And she comes down there, we have a conversation, we get ourselves together, and we go back off to class. Um, so I think it's about teaching them respect. And one of the things that she said was about another adult. "Well, I don't respect her because she don't respect me." Hey, that's not how this works. You're 13. I need you to walk in with respect. This is how this goes. You walk in with respect, do what you're supposed to do, and there won't be a need for the teacher to seem disrespectful, as you say, because she's correcting your behavior. She won't have to, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. So,
Right.
like, let's get on that immediately. So that's kind of like a part of my take on that, is that there needs to be some molding and some teaching and some guidance, because a lot of the kids, or the people that she was referring to, are really kids right now. Between that rough age of 10 and 25, that are in that generation that she's referring to, who won't tolerate all the things. They're not mature yet.
So I'll say I think she's probably like me and don't know the age of the Gen Z generation, because I feel like she was talking more about, her age group,
Uh-huh.
like, 'cause it seemed like it was a personal thing for her, with
Definitely
the,
did seem that.
yeah, like with the family talking about, whatever. And to be honest, thinking of what Gen Z actually is, and going back to what you said, how there needs to be some molding, and parents have to, I think it's the generation above them.
Millennials. Yeah.
Yeah, them. Those are the ones, that are raising these little wonderful children, that are running around with the lack of respect. And I think because millennials, like, they have totally kind of gotten away from, that
Connection.
Mr. and Mrs. Yeah, like the connection. Like, I have, well, if they see this, they'll be mad, but they always mad. I have younger siblings, and like they quick to, I don't care, who this is, and I don't care. Like, they're quick with it, and it doesn't, and for them, it's just like their way of life, and it's not
Yeah.
about, and they were taught
Yeah.
different, they, but like becoming an adult, and I guess I'll say, with the culture and, society and the way things are, like, they honestly aren't very connected, like, even to our family, you know, it's a whole bunch of, I don't like this, I don't like that person. It's a lot of that. So, Trina, before I keep talking and talking.
I mean, I understood what she was saying, and I understand. And again, I was thinking of her age group more than
Right,
that younger age group, and I do understand that mindset of I don't have to put up with certain things, mistreatment, abuse, disrespect, just because I'm dealing with family.
right,
I understand that, and I get that. Um, but at the same time, there's some things that come before just a whole cutoff. I'm not
right,
dealing with. You know
right,
what I mean? There's some, did did you ever say, okay, Auntie, I don't
Right.
really like when you say A, B, and C,
Right.
or you know what I mean? Because sometimes, with the older generation, they just doing what they been doing. They don't know that this is a problem for you.
Right.
That you have a problem with them saying, oh girl, your butt got big. Like this is just what we do, and they feel like this is my little niece, so I can say what I want to say. But if it bothers you,
Right.
okay, Auntie, I don't really like when you say that. She might be like, oh girl, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. It's just, you my niece, and I just made an observation. I won't do that no more. So there's some steps to take, especially and the steps need to be taken if it's your family, and
Right.
that's the people that love you and who you love. I mean, unless you know for sure that they just coming at you with malice or forethought or whatever, just being mean and nasty. But if somebody is you making an observation, you grown, then do grown things. Like, Auntie, I don't really
Right.
like that. Can
Yeah.
we talk about this? Or if you want to ask me about that, can you pull me to the side? Don't ask me at the whole Thanksgiving table. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't really like that. Um, and then as the older generation, we need to be ready and willing to listen and to see what their situation, why they don't like this. What is it? Don't be like, oh, well, I can say I changed the diapers, so I can. No, no, no. Okay, that was 20 years, 25 years ago. Yeah, I changed the diapers, but that doesn't mean I don't respect you as an adult now.
Right.
So we need to be in a place where we're willing to listen, willing
Yeah.
to understand and see their point of view, because we might have a different point of view. We might not condone where they're coming from or agree with it, but just listening to learn and to respect where they're coming from. Um, I had just on that particular uh topic, the whole pronoun thing, the whole LGBT. Some of it I don't understand. So I was asking some questions of the 20 something age, and I was like, well, what does that mean? What's all the letters? What does it mean? What's the pronoun? And I was getting a whole you know conversation because I really didn't understand, and I wasn't trying to say to them, well, that's wrong, and y'all, all this gay mess. No, I just really didn't understand. Like, I was like, wait a minute. So if they're transitioning and then they're being called they, but now they're a woman, but they still want to date a woman, I don't understand, because that's a guy and a girl. So how is they gay? And they were like, no, gender is different from what you identify. Okay, just let me understand.
Right.
Mhm.
So I know, you know what I mean? I just wanted to have a conversation so I understood. And I'm not sitting here putting you down saying, oh, all that gay mess and y'all need to let me understand. And I think it's important for our generation to listen and understand, and maybe we can have a connection without just shutting them down and all that mess. But y'all go sit down somewhere type. No, we'll never have a connection if that's how we approach it as well.
I think, and even those types, like, we don't have to agree on everything.
Right.
Right.
We don't have to. But it doesn't mean we can't have a connection
Right.
apart from that. Because our only conversation is not going to be about your sexuality. Our only conversation is not going to be about your pronouns or your gender choice. Like, what you doing with your life? You got a
Right.
job? Where you working? How you feeling? What you
Mhm.
like to eat? You like sweet potato pie? I made a sweet potato pie. Let's eat the pie together. Like, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't have to always be about those particular things. But I like what you said about how older relatives or whatnot, they'll sometimes say things that you may not feel comfortable with, and it doesn't mean cut them off. It means have the conversation.
Right.
My grandmother, every single time I went to see her, she would tell me how fluffy I was getting. She wouldn't say it like that though. I could take it if it was like that, but she would do it like every single time, and I'd be like, oh Lord, here we go again. But I always knew it was coming. For me, it wasn't a matter of saying to her, Grandma, I don't like when you call me, chunky. I don't like when you tell me that I'm picking up weight. Like, I know it. I kind of look at myself in the mirror every day. Like, I know what's happening here. It was just kind of like, yeah, girl, I've been eating all the ice cream and the cookies, and like, I just moved on. Like, it was just kind of like, it's not even that it wasn't something that I was taking to heart that was causing me to have self-esteem issues or, whatnot. I knew that when I was going over there, don't wear nothing form fitting because she gonna show tell you that, this is where all the meat is at. Make sure you put on something the right way. It was just things you prepare for. Now it's different to me when somebody has really hurt you or done something very harmful to you and you're saying I'm not coming around that because they're not even remorseful for what they've done for me. If you've had
Right.
situations in your family where someone has physically harmed you, if you had situations in your family where someone has really done something traumatic to you, that's different.
Right. Right.
And
Absolutely.
still saying, "Oh, we sweep that under the rug. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about, what happened in that situation." That's very different. And that's a very
Absolutely.
different type of trauma. And
Mhm.
that's something that like probably needs to be addressed within the family. Like, hey, like this is hurtful. Like this still, I'm still healing from that. I may not be fully healed from this. And this is what I can't put up with that. I can't do that. Versus you just don't like the way they talk to you. You just don't like auntie asking you, do you have a job? You just don't like auntie asking you, you still smoking weed? You just don't
Right.
you just don't want to answer those questions.
Right.
Um, so because you don't want to answer those questions, now you don't want to go around the family because they, you don't like the way they act and all that kind of stuff. No, sometimes you're gonna have to face those questions. Sometimes you're gonna have to say, no, auntie, I don't have a job. I know y'all about to tell me I'm being lazy. I know y'all gonna tell me y'all didn't cry all them tears at my graduation for me to, go and work at Waffle House or whatever. Like you have to answer the questions. You have to
Right.
face the family because these are the people who care most about you and they're asking what they're asking because they want to see you succeed, because they want to see you do better, because they want you to have more than they had, because they don't want to see you struggle and they know what struggle looks like. And I see that you're on that path. Let me ask you a few questions. Maybe it'll change the path you're on. So I think it's very different than um than true trauma. And I know we can't tell people what's traumatic for them and what's not and all that kind of stuff. But like let's be real, true trauma. I'm talking about somebody physically abused you, sexually abused you, and they're still doing this and no one is doing anything about it.
Right.
That's real trauma that like we will probably say, okay, yeah, mom, I'm not coming because so and so is over there and you know what he do. And I got kids now and I'm not gonna leave my kids with
Right.
Uncle so and so because he be touching people's children. So if y'all having him over to the house, we not coming.
Right.
That's different than well, Auntie Penny hurt my feelings every time I come over there, so I'm just not coming because she always tell me that my hair is ugly. Well, girl, maybe your hair is ugly. Go comb it and let's go to Thanksgiving dinner, please and thank you. I don't know. But I mean, could be insensitive. I don't know, but that's just kind of the way I think about it. Our entire focus doesn't have to be one thing. Our entire
Right.
focus doesn't have to be one thing that just doesn't make you happy. One thing that makes you uncomfortable. We get uncomfortable around our friends, but we still hang out with them. We get uncomfortable with people in the club, but we still go. We get uncomfortable with people at work, but we get up and go to work every morning. But we also learn how to communicate our discomforts with those people. So you have to do the same thing with family so that we can continue generations of knowing who you're connected to. Because if you don't, after a while, your little children gonna go out here and marry their cousins, and you ain't gonna know why. They don't know who their people are because you're not taking them around. So take your children around their people so they don't marry their cousins.
Wow. Well, that's important.
Um, I guess. So that was gonna kind of be my second point is, do you feel like, or what do you think about, the lack of being connected? How does that affect communication? Because I'm with you. I like, even as a kid, I've always been able to use my mouth very well. Like, I got in lots of trouble growing up because I was always saying things that my mother wished that I would not. And honestly, even being in my 40s, now I still say things that my mother wishes that I wouldn't. And not necessarily nasty things, but I've always been the person like, I don't like that. Like, you shouldn't do that. Don't say that. Like, or I'm not the, oh, that's just how they are. No, that's not gonna work today. Like, I believe that learning how to communicate, one, in your family is like the start of it, so that when you go out into the world and somebody say something, you're not like these kids going home to get a gun and shooting up the school,
Right.
or people, going in a store and stabbing people because you don't like what somebody said, or you don't like, how somebody look at you. I feel like, the people that you're connected to the most, like, they teach you how to be a person. Like, they teach you how to relate to other people. So if you just done turned 21 and you done with your family. I don't want to see my grandma, my auntie, all of them trifling. You done with everybody. Like, where do you learn? How do you learn how to communicate? Like,
Right.
I promise you, just yesterday at my job, two grown people, they grown in age. Like, how y'all about to kill each other at work? In the kitchen with all these sharp objects and all this fire? Like, what are we doing? Like, to have to take grown people to the side, and I mean, like, rah rah, like the things that come out of our mouths. Like, you couldn't just say, "Don't talk to me like that," and be done with it. Like, I feel like we're not learning how to relate and really connect to people. The minute that is something, that you don't like, that's kind of it. Trini, you said there should be some steps, like, before I decide I'm not coming back. Yeah, oh, well, that's only my cousin. Oh, that's my mama's sister. She, like, how does that, I don't know how that translates to your life. I get it. People are people. And sometimes things people do is not intentional. It's not, but I'm not doing this to you. Like, this may be a personal flaw that I have. It may be something, that's, deficient in me. And I just don't notice it.
Like, just, I mean, and that's, I mean, the auntie that talk about everybody, the auntie that say
Right.
everything, that will tell all your, that's just what she does. So like, make sure auntie don't know your secrets. If you don't want the whole family to know your secrets, like, keep it to yourself. Like, mama, don't be telling her my secrets. I don't know, but you have to figure it out versus fight. But being around family is good. Kids need that. My cousins were the ones who taught me how to defend myself,
Right.
because I constantly had to defend myself with my cousins. Now I have a lot of cousins, so it's kind of, my family is a little strange. On I have two huge families. Both of my parents come from 12 and 13 siblings.
Oh, wow.
So the number of cousins that I have, like first cousins alone, is ridiculous. So getting dropped off at an auntie's house, it could be anywhere from 5 of us in one house to 20 of us at one given time, like cousins. And they taught me how to defend myself, because they were going to pick on every single thing. Like, oh, you wear glasses. Oh, look at your little four eyes. Oh, you high yellow. Oh, look at you. You brown and dark. Like, I mean, it didn't matter what it was. Like,
Right.
whoever you are with, like, my cousins taught me how to be ready at all times. Like, so when I got out in the world with other people, I either had a really good comeback. Thank you, cousins. Or or I already knew how to deal with people like that. And it
Right.
was just kind of like, I can kind of let that roll off my back, because you really not even that bad. Do you know who I was raised with?
Right.
You got nothing on them people. So don't you even worry. You did not even upset me. And I mean, that's a part of the things that you learn being around family.
Right.
It's they're your first friends. And the first people that you fight with, the
Right.
first people that you learn true interaction with, and how to recover from a battle or from a fight or from an argument. You learn that with family. Um, and while you can learn it with friends, you really won't know how to interact with those friends until you've had it with family. So
Right.
you need
That
it.
that recover piece is incredibly important. We don't recover well anymore. We disconnect. We retreat to our homes. We cut people off. We don't recover well.
That's because we don't let these kids play with their cousins outside and then get into a fight and tell them to go back and play again.
I think it's important, like I was saying, to communicate when things um go awry in the family. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like say like you have a cousin or a sibling, and then you're like all your life you felt like your parent, that was their favorite. It was you always treated them differently than me, and or my grandma, my grandpa always treated these set of cousins different than us, and I don't. And so now you're growing up with all this hurt, but you never talked about it. You never said anything.
Right.
And maybe you would have found out. Maybe you found out that this child was going through A, B, and C, and so grandma or grandpa gave them a little extra love because you didn't know what they were going through, or
Right.
what maybe they had a diagnosis that you didn't know about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So now you all your life all hurt over here about something that if you asked a question or if you expressed it, oh no, baby, this is why, because I needed to do this because they needed a little more. And I didn't mean to make you feel any different, but they were hurting. And so you didn't know that they went through this. And so, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's you got to communicate, and
Yeah.
it's so bad that I know it happens. It happens in a lot of families that we don't communicate. We just go on with from our point of view, our hurt, and we take it and hold it, and that's our truth because we never asked or we never said, this hurt me and my feelings were hurt, and you don't know the reason. And sometimes it's not anything that is bad, or maybe they just didn't know, or maybe they didn't know that you felt that way. It's so important to communicate,
Yeah.
so important to communicate, and even if you don't get the answer that you wanted, at least they know and you got it out and you got it off yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
They're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Communication is extremely important. Learning how to express yourself. You just assuming, well, she should have known that she should. You can't assume what somebody knows. You can't assume. Yeah, you just can't assume. Sometimes, even if you think they should know, tell them anyway.
Yeah.
Communication is important. Letting your voice be heard is important. One, it'll lessen your stress. And then some of our wounds, some of our trauma is self inflicted. Some of the things that have, wounded us or traumatized us, to use the popular words these days, um, some of that stuff was self inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have had the courage, I'll say, to speak up, to open your mouth, to say something. Trina, like you said, you would see things in a whole different light. Sometimes somebody hearing your voice makes all the difference. Oh, you didn't like that? I didn't even know. I would have stopped doing that before, if you would have just said something.
Yeah.
I think we I'm sorry. I think it's important that we learn how to communicate. And like you said, your family is, that a lot of times this is where you get your first lessons. Like your family is your first lesson in love. The love of your family is where it starts. If they love you wrong, you can walk out of the house loving other people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If they communicate with you badly, that's kind of what we pick up. So it's important to learn how to communicate effectively.
I read a book a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, and in the book, the sibling was she went through so much, and she was wondering why her she was treated so different from the other children, blah blah blah.
Right.
And come to find out, um I think she was a product of rape. And so the mom had so much anger toward her. But it's not like she was trying to be angry toward her, but all she saw was,
Natural.
Right.
right, that man who did what he did to her. That's all she saw when she looked at her. And then her mother, the mom's mother, wouldn't let her give the baby up, or you know what I mean? So she had all this anger toward the child.
Right.
Um, and it's so much trauma sometimes that, things are happening. And so sometimes it's like if you don't know, you're just dealing with somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You're dealing with somebody else's stuff coming on you. And in that book that I read, she had to say something like, why, what, and it took a lot for her to even face what had happened to her. So they both had to forgive, coming
Right.
like when everything came out.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because sometimes you are being traumatized, you are being treated wrong, and you don't know why. But sometimes you have to ask, and when you find out, you might find out whole can of worms.
But it also could make you more empathetic to
Right.
um the person who mistreated you. Not that it was fair, but you understand a little bit better and a little bit differently. Oh, this is what happened to you that's causing you to do this to me.
Right.
I had no idea, and it could change the dynamic of the entire relationship because now you're aware, and now they're aware. Because I'm sure, and I'm not sure, but it's a good chance that there were moments that the mom was doing things to that particular child or treating that child a particular way, and it was just second nature. It wasn't even like a conscious mistreatment, like I'm going to wake up and mistreat you today, but it was more
Right.
like um just the look of it, just the memory of it all, because I'm never getting away
Right.
from that memory of something terrible that happened to me. So I'm facing it every day. And when I face, like I heard
Right.
somebody say, they were like, it wasn't even a situation like terrible like that. It was just like a breakup. And they were mistreating a particular child because the child looked just like the dad. And it was like, you just look like your daddy. And it was like never anything positive that they had for that child because the child looked so much like the father, and they had so much disgust and hate in their heart for that father that they couldn't even treat the child right.
Right.
Because every time they seen him, all they saw was this man that did them wrong and dirty, and they just mistreated this child constantly because of that. And I think sometimes people are aware, but I think sometimes when you call it out, it causes a different type of behavior, because now that I know that you're watching this behavior in me, I don't want to give
Right.
you more things to say. So I need to make sure I'm aware of what I'm doing now.
Right. And I think, the whole staying connected to other people, like a lot of times it takes somebody from the outside to tell you when you mess it up, to tell you how bad you look. It's like you're out here looking crazy in these streets. Like I need you to tighten it up, make a
Mhm.
different decision. Whatever you got going on, you got to fix that. But a lot of times that comes from the outside. That comes from that auntie that changed your diapers, 25 years ago saying, "Hey, baby girl, I've never seen you be this, or I've never seen you act like this. Like, you're better than this." Sometimes it takes those family members,
Mhm.
that have seen you grow, be the ones to help you get back in line. So it is important to stay connected to people. I know we got all these issues. We don't like this. We ain't taking this. And listen, I can be honest, I have a lot of them too. Sometimes I'll be like, all right, enough for the same conversation. Like I'm not, and sometimes, unfortunately, there are times where you have to walk away. Like you have to take your sanity, take your peace of mind, and sometimes you do have to maybe not walk away, but you do have to put distance between yourself and other people. And that's fine, but that should not be your go-to.
Right.
That shouldn't be, how you handle every situation. I'm just done with it. I'm over it. Like that shouldn't be, on the top of your list.
And definitely setting boundaries um, is something that we can teach our young people
Right.
how to speak to adults that's giving you unwanted advice.
Right.
Just say, what, that's a consideration, and that's something that I'll look into. I'll take that into consideration. Or just a way to not be like, don't be in my business, you don't got to tell me what to do. There's another way to deal with,
Right.
what I'm saying, people that's trying to tell you what to do, get in your business. What I'm saying? So we as older generation can say, listen, it's a way to talk. It's a way to speak to your grandma when she's, it's a way to tell your old, grand uncle, that's not really the way I want to handle it, but thank you for your advice. There's a
Yeah.
way, what I'm saying? And to keep your family, but also try, let's try to keep the peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. My daughter is really good at deterring comments that she doesn't want. She is really good at it. And I don't know that I really taught her that. I maybe I did, I don't know. But she's really good at it. And like when she gets that unwanted advice, she just, she's like, oh, okay, thanks. And like it's not even like an engagement conversation. It's more of a I heard you. Or even not answering all the questions that dig too deep sometimes. Like you don't want like to put everything out there to everyone, and they may have asked a question, that's super personal. You're like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. But
Right.
I'm glad keep me in your prayers,
Right.
Right,
like, like pray for me, because
right.
I don't really want
Right,
to talk about that.
right, right.
I mean, but you have to get creative and find ways to respond to stuff and not let everything devastate you, not let everything bother you where you can't even be around people. Like just I mean, yeah, just kind of have to figure out those ways of setting your boundaries as a young person coming up in a family of involved people is what we'll call them.
Involved.
Right.
Okay.
And we need, connection is important. You have to be connected to something. And I get it. I'm connected to the people within these four walls. Okay. You have to be, connected past as far as you can reach your arms. So there was a couple of years ago, it was called a happiness study. And so what the study did, it took a group of people and broke the people into three groups. So there was a group, the biggest group, of course, was people that had their arms held out and they were holding buckets of water. And then the remaining two groups was one group of people that was, I don't know, maybe I didn't get the groups right. Right. But one group of people were standing and they were telling the people that were holding their arms out, you can do it. You could do it. Hold on. You're almost there. Time is almost up. You could do it. You got it. I got your back. I got your back. And then there are people that just stood there silently, watching the people holding their arms out. So what the study did, the study proved that the people that were had the encouragement, had somebody in their corner, pushing them on. When they were asked, how heavy was it? They was like, I didn't even realize how heavy it was. Like for them, it wasn't as heavy.
Right.
They were like, I knew I was holding it, but it wasn't like a burden. And then for the people that didn't get any encouragement, that didn't have anybody in their corner, the study proved that they were like, oh my god, it felt like I was holding 27 gallons of water in each hand or whatever. It was so much more of a burden. So the
Yeah.
study proved that we're happier when we're connected to someone, when we have someone that loves us in our corner and can push you and support you. And I thought that was like super super interesting, how something so simple, just somebody, like, have you ever had a bad day and just out the blue you get a text and they're like, oh hey, I was thinking about you today, or hey, how you doing today? Somebody that asks you, that's concerned about you. On those days it makes things better. Like, it helps your mind to refocus, so you're not so much looking at the burden or what you're carrying, you kind of can look away for a minute. So I think, and being connected to something, we have to get back to where our families and our communities are connected. And I know you're not going to be connected to everybody and everybody you meet and everybody you go to church with and everybody in your family, but I think it's important to endeavor to make some connections.
I agree.
So did you guys have any final thoughts?
I agree with all that you just said. That is where we need to lean towards. And I am going to do better. I have a lot of people and a lot of people that I don't talk to on a regular basis. Not that I think not that I'm professing that I'm going to talk to them on a regular basis,
Oh God.
but when we have a family function that is not a funeral, I will try to make better efforts to be present. I'm going to try.
Okay. That's something. In our communities, unfortunately, funerals are when
People
we
get together.
seem to see people. Like, I had a family funeral a few weeks ago, and I saw my uncle that lives in Georgia, where I live. I had not seen him in like 6 years. He lives in Georgia. Not I'm sure not that far from me. I mean, he works maybe about 30 minutes from where I live. Not
Mm,
that far. I had not seen him in 6 years. I had to go to another state and see him.
yeah.
Um, and even like while we sat there and all the family was around, like my mom hadn't seen him in God knows how long. She hadn't seen her siblings in years. And I'm just like, this is not the way family is supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to see you every day. I don't even have to talk to you every day, but I don't know. I don't think like we should go years and we haven't had a conversation, not even a happy birthday text, nothing.
Right.
And it's not important to them. Like, it just like that's the part that kind of for me always makes me think like, dang, it's not even important, like it doesn't even matter,
Well,
like
you
I
start sending birthday cards. That's what I just got out of that.
of
I did.
course you did. Of course you did.
Sorry to interrupt your thought.
No, you're fine. Listen, the goal is to, I'm gonna say, if there's a family member, maybe you haven't talked to them, and I'm not telling you to talk to them, shoot them a text. Hey, Auntie, talk too much. I just wanted to tell you hi. Hey, Uncle, get on my last nerves. You still owe me $20. I hope you're all right. I mean, whatever it is, shoot a text. You don't have to have a conversation. You don't have to call nobody. You don't have to FaceTime. A simple text, and go a long way. Send an email. I mean, in some way, reach out to somebody that you haven't reached out to in a long time. And I know those same people could reach out to you. I know a phone works both ways. I got it. It's not about helping them be their best selves. It's always about figuring out how you can be better than you were yesterday.
Yes.
No competition, just being the best version of yourself daily. That should always be our goal. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, we are on here every Thursday at 8 p.m. or every ish Thursday. We're working on we've been a little slack lately. But we appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching. All you guys on the replay, thank you so much. And we'll be back next Thursday at 8 p.m.